Like, I know for a fact that I have seen more breasts than my grandfather because of internet pornography. I know that for a fact, right? If I go back to the 1700s, my great six removed grandfather probably saw about 4 vaginas, and one of those will have been his daughters, right? I've seen hundreds of vaginas because I grew up with the internet. Think about it. You've seen hundreds of vaginas too, even if you're a woman. Hello everybody, welcome back. I want to quickly do a review of the lyrics in Brainwashed because Tom doesn't lie. He makes a mistake in this one, but he doesn't lie. And Edgar Allan Poe, the famous poet, nobody knew who he was until he died. And this guy, we need to hear what this guy's saying, so we'll just quickly go through it, and then every verse I'm going to come back with the lyrics and we'll talk about what he's saying in a little bit more detail. But let's go.
The country fell asleep, but they scream woke. We're distracted by vaccines and TV shows, politics, celebrity gossip, popular neat quotes. Black lives, white lives, which lives mean most? We only dedicate one day to remember our fallen soldiers, the men and women who died young. But if you come out the closet as Caitlyn Jenner, you're a hero and you get a whole Pride Month. The most dangerous pandemic's propaganda from these clowns. Only mask that's gonna save us is duct tape on their mouths. Don't speak. We don't need to defund police, need to defund the media who lies through their teeth like Big Pharma doesn't cure you, dog, cause every patient that gets cured is a customer lost. And big oil runs the world, the only wars that get fought are with the countries who have natural resources they want. Heard him claiming if a white man braids his hair and likes rap, he's appropriating culture. But if a white man acts too white, he's white trash. He's a racist, he's a bigot, he's a monster. Let's just have the conversation. Not every liberal is dumb, not all Republicans are racist. The government wants everybody fighting with their neighbors cause they know that if we get along, we'll probably go against them. They can't stop us, cause we're ready to fight, trying to brainwash us. But we won't let freedom die, the whole world's brainwashed. Everybody pick a team, start a riot in the streets. The whole world's brainwashed. It's us against them, it ain't you against me.
Right, and we'll be straight back with verse 1's lyrics. Here we go, verse 1. So half the country fell asleep, but they scream woke. So they're ignoring half the stuff that's happening, but they scream that they're awake, right? We're distracted by vaccines and TV shows, politics, celebrities, gossip, and popular neat quotes. That is everything. That's like 90% of what people talk about. So we're talking about the news and TV shows, like that's where you just consume that, which is politics. So you're talking about like January 6th or all of these other things that have happened, right? Then you're talking about celebrities. In further news, Nicole Aniston stubs her toe. And then you're talking about gossip, like I can't believe Becky down the street said this. And then you're talking about popular neat quotes, which is like a jab at Instagram and Facebook, because like that's where you see all those stupid, corny quotes that come up. Well, he's right, isn't he? That is the bulk of what people talk about. And then this is a good line: black lives, white lives, which lives mean most? Now, that's a clever dig because he's not asking the question. He's now saying that because we're doing all this Black Lives Matter, White Lives Matter, Asian Lives Matter, because we're doing all of that, we have now uncovered the question, well, which lives mean most? Because that's where they're pushing it. They're trying to push it that one life is superior than the other. What? It's human lives matter, don't they? Realistically, if you think about it. And if you want to say all lives matter, that's like talking about my cat Jasmine. Her life matters as well. But human lives matter. It doesn't matter your shade, your creed, your colour. It doesn't matter, does it? Really. So black lives, white lives, which lives mean most? That's a question that we now have to ask ourselves because of what we're consuming. Do you know what I mean? We only dedicate one day to remember our fallen soldiers, the men and women who die young, right? Which is Remembrance Day. Often falls on a Sunday in the UK. We have Armistice Day as well, though, when we signed the treaty against Germany, the 11th hour on the 11th day of the 11th month. But yeah. If you come out of the closet as Caitlyn Jenner, you're a hero and you get a whole Pride Month. Like this is him saying that our values are almost topsy-turvy. It's why are we celebrating somebody who has got a mental condition that makes them believe something that isn't true? We're celebrating them for an entire month, right? When it comes, like he's talking about Caitlyn Jenner Pride Month, like we don't have a straight month either, but specifically when it comes to the transgenders, Caitlyn Jenner's the issue. Like, they're a hero. Caitlyn Jenner's now a hero for coming out of the closet. But people who win the Purple Heart or the Medal of Honor, they get one day. And it just seems that it's a bit skewed. It's a bit topsy-turvy. That's what he means by that line, or at least that's my interpretation of it. The most dangerous pandemic's propaganda from these clowns. The only masks that's going to save us is duct tape on their mouths. Don't speak. And that's because they're talking absolute drivel, and they're lying to people, and they're trying to get everybody emotionally fired up because to us the election season ends. To us, like, we get the election season, and then 3 years of rule, 4 years of rule, then it comes back round again. But to a politician, election season is always happening. The moment Barack Obama was inaugurated as president, he was thinking about how he was going to get re-elected. To them, it doesn't turn off. So they're constantly manipulating us to get us to go in the direction that they want. And that's literally what it is. That duct tape on their mouth. They need to stop talking. And politicians are no longer fit for purpose. A politician's job is lying. If you and I lie, it's called lying. And if we do it illegally, I think it's called perjury or fraud, dependent. That's what would happen if you or I did it. If a politician does it, it's called being a politician. It's called politics. So there's a double standard. They're not fit for purpose anymore. The only masks it's going to save us, I've read that bit, let's go. So we don't need to defund the police, need to defund the media who lie through their teeth, which they do. Have you seen that video that came out a few years ago of all the news anchors reading the same article? They were reading the same headline. This is a danger to our democracy. This is a danger to our democracy. I'll put a little clip in now.
Simply aren't true without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
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 Any good? But yeah. Big Pharma doesn't cure you, dog. It doesn't. Big Pharma doesn't cure you, because every patient that gets cured is a customer lost. Think about it. This is what I said in my other video. I'll put a card up for you. When I said that transgender surgery, transitional surgery, turns people into perpetual patients. If you go for surgery, you're going to pay $20,000 as a minimum just to get the surgery done. Then you're paying hormones for the rest of your life, and you're probably going to have corrective surgery because the procedures don't always work. So there's a good chance that's going to happen to you. So you're a perpetual patient. That's it. You're a patient for life now. You're paying them. So if they cure you, if you've no longer got a problem, you're not a customer anymore. Think about it. Just think about it for 2 seconds. That's how it works. And big oil runs the world. It does. Like, you look up lobbying. If you live in the US, look up lobbying and look at the companies that that give your government millions and millions of dollars to get laws enacted that won't damage their business model. They don't care about you. You're mental. The only wars that get fought are with countries who have natural resources they want. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's literally most of the wars that happened are over natural resources. And heard him claiming if a white man braids his hair and likes rap, he's appropriating culture. I'm from a Scottish family. Can you tell by my big ginger beard? I'm from a Scottish family, and Scots would traditionally braid and dreadlock their hair. It's tradition. Like, it's an old thing. You wouldn't catch me dead doing it, but you can do it. And the Scottish people are so far white, they're fucking blue. That's how far white Scots go. They turn blue. You go far enough up. I promise you. So no, it's not appropriating culture, because now you're saying, like, oh, it's a race to who gets there first. So is modern medicine a cultural appropriation because white people invented it? So now you're not allowed an injection because you're not allowed to get vaccinated because it was invented by a Greek dude. Is that what you're saying? It makes no sense. But if a white man acts too white, he's white trash. How can you act white? How does that even make sense? Like, it's racist to say that somebody can act white. Because how do white people act? And then the moment you start giving an answer to that, that's you being racist, because you're judging everybody based on their skin colour. I promise you now, as an American, I promise you now that you would not be able to tell the difference between a Frenchman, an Austrian, a Belgian and a Dutchman. If I lined them up and got you to none of them could speak to you, and all of them were wearing like a jumpsuit, so they were all neutral, and you just had to look at them and work out what country they were from, you would have zero fucking idea, right? They are all white, but French people act totally different to Austrians, and they're both white. So, like, how can you act white? And in the same way that like Madagascans act differently to Ethiopians. If I put an Ethiopian, a Tanzanian and a Madagascan in a room, you just see three black men. You wouldn't have a clue. They all have different cultures, different languages, different histories, different everything. You can't act a colour. That makes no sense. Makes no sense. But yeah, if you act too white, you're white trash. You're a bigot, a racist or a monster. That's what happens if you're too white. But it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Like, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. You can't act white. It's a very American lens, that. But yeah, let's just have the conversation, right? This is what this video is for. We need to have a conversation about this because we're acting like fools and we're being manipulated and we're being coerced and tricked. We're being tricked. There's wool over our eyes right now. That's what's happened, and we didn't feel it get pulled down, so we need to remove it. Right? Not every liberal is dumb. I'm sure there's people out there that are very liberal, that are very intelligent, but they can get caught up in propaganda. Not every Nazi believed what the Nazis were saying, but they still voted that way. You don't have to wholeheartedly believe something to be swept along with the tide. Think about it. Not every liberal is dumb, and not all Republicans are racist. The government wants everybody fighting with their neighbours because they know that if we get along, we'll probably go against them. This is what I said in my last video about Tom. Like, if you're getting shit on and I'm getting shit on, we're not looking up to see who's shitting on us. That's what's happening. So that's what he's saying again there. This man is Edgar Allan Poe. Like, he's underappreciated, and it's probably I want him to end up like doing world tours and stuff the way that all these modern rappers are, but it'll never happen because the people that Tom MacDonald's already spoken about how Billboard tries to screw him and how all the record labels are trying to do it. He definitely needs our support. Pause this video now, right, and go to my description and there's a link to his channel. Go and subscribe to him if you haven't. Fuck my subscription, it doesn't matter. I do want to thank the 2 subscribers that joined though. Thank you guys, I appreciate that. But yeah, go and subscribe to Tom because he needs our support to get this stuff out, because he doesn't really lie. Like, he's telling straight up facts. He gets a few things wrong every now and then, but they're like minor mistakes. That's me being pedantic. It's not him being like, it's not him spreading a fallacy. Do you know what I'm saying? But yeah, so that's the first verse, and we'll do the hook. They can't stop us because we're ready to fight. Try to brainwash us, but we won't let freedom die. The whole world's brainwashed, right? I'm not going to let them brainwash me. You can try as hard as you want. Unless you can factually prove something to me that's demonstrable, I will not believe you. So I'm an agnostic. You cannot prove God exists, so I won't believe a believer. And an atheist can't prove that God doesn't exist, so I'm not going to believe an atheist. Both of them are stood on shaky ground. Unless you're stood on solid ground and you can prove something to me, I'm not falling for it. I'm not falling for it. I'm sorry. And this is what he means by we won't let it die. I'm not going to let freedom die. You can't brainwash me. Good luck. Very good luck trying. Very, very hard job ahead of you. Everybody pick a team, start a riot in the streets. Pick a team. Right versus left, black versus white, rich versus poor, libs versus dems, commies versus capitalists. Pick one. Pick a team. That's what they want you to do. They don't want you to realise that both of us are playing as a game, right? And they're getting money off it. We're the players in the game and they're managing the stadium. We don't need to pick a team. We need to burn the fucking stadium to the ground. That's what we need to do. The whole world's brainwashed. It's us against them. It ain't you against me. It's you and I. Whether you hate me or you love me. It's you and I against the people that are in charge of us. It's you and I against the farmer. We are the cattle. Think about it. Well, yeah, back to the video. Right, here we go. Verse 2. You ready?
How did monkeys become people and people turned into sheep? They put fluoride in the water that's keeping us all asleep. Claim they want what's best for us, I find it hard to believe, cause they've been selling us cigarettes since we was 18. Fake news, fake woke, distract and divide. You're either right or you're left, or you're black or you're white. Big tech don't need a microchip to hack in your life, cause the phone inside your pocket is a tracking device. And I don't know what I'm more sick of, rappers or Joe Biden looking like he ate 100 Xanax for dinner. Cause censoring the president and kicking him off Twitter is a bigger threat to freedom than foreign ballistic missiles. You don't trust the police or the government, but you want people giving up their right to own a firearm. Why would you be comfortable if police and the government the only people on the planet with the right to buy a gun? White privilege getting amplified to reinforce division. It convinces white people that they're favored by their skin, and black people getting angry because they're told they're treated different. So the conflict is between us and never with the system. Let's just have the conversation. Not every liberal is dumb, not all Republicans are racist. The government wants everybody fighting with their neighbors because they know that if we get along, we'll probably go against them.
And verse 2's lyrics. Here we go. Lyrics from verse 2. How did monkeys become people and people turn into sheep? Now this annoys me because we were never monkeys. We've always been and always have been apes, and they are different. Apes and monkeys are different. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. That's me being pedantic, but he's technically right because we're all from a similar family. So I know what he means. The analogy he's going for is the fact that we all used to be independent, free-thinking creatures. We all used to work loosely together for the greater good of the tribe. That's what we used to do. Now we're all just going bah, and following blindly whatever we're told, because it's easier to do as one is told than it is to think for oneself. To think for oneself requires some critical thinking, some energy, some memories. It requires you to take yourself through something. But to blindly follow is easy. It's easy to go, okay, yeah, haha. It's easy to do that because it requires no thinking, no moral judgment, no character stress on your side. It's easy to do it. That's what he's getting at. And I do agree with him. The amount of people that I've seen, they've been asked about Andrew Tate. Like, what do you think about Andrew Tate, so on and so forth? Well, I think he's a misogynist. And then people say, can you define misogyny for me? And they go, no. So you don't know what the fuck you're talking about then, do you? If you think about it, you don't know what you actually do not know what you're talking about. If you cannot define the words that you are using, why are you using them? Because you're blindly following. But yeah, let's keep going. They put fluoride in the water that's keeping us asleep. The Nazis started doing that in concentration camps. Just saying. That's where that started. I'm just saying. Right? Claim they want the best for us. I find that hard to believe because they've been selling us cigarettes since we was 18. Right? Which is true. They want what's good for you, but they'll sell you things that... Like, alcohol is the only drug that's proven to make you more aggressive. Like, if you take a man and give him alcohol, he will become more aggressive, right? Cocaine won't make you more aggressive, chemically. You can become aggressive whilst on cocaine. Oh, yes, 100%. But alcohol is the only one that's legal. That's like, it's guaranteed to make you aggressive. You drink it and you're going to get angry. You either want to fight something or fuck something. I don't think they want what's best for us. I really don't. I really don't. They want you to go to work and then go to the pub or go to the bar, get drunk and go home and repeat so they can take the money from you. That's what they want. Pardon me? Because they've been selling cigarettes since we was 18. Fake news, fake woke, distract and divide. You're either right or you're left, or you're black or you're white. This is what I'm saying. It's identity politics. They want us all broken up into teams because if you break one problem into many little problems, it's easier to solve. And if they see us as a problem, we become easier to solve if we are divided. So they can conquer us. Divide and conquer. Julius Caesar knew about this. That's 2,000 years ago. So it's been around a while. It's not like we're new to this. Do you know what I mean? But big tech don't need to hack in your life because the phone inside your pocket is a tracking device. 100% is it. It knows everything about you. You should be using a VPN. If you are not watching this video with a VPN, you're lacking. You're lacking and slacking, I'm promising you. Because they collect everything about you. They know, there's certain things, there's categories of information that we have, right? So there's information that only you know, right? Only you know it. You've done things in your life and only you know you've done them. For example, you might have made a cup of coffee last night. Nobody else in the house. You're the only person that knows you've done that. So that category used to be me and God. So that's between me and God. Only me and God know that. Only God and I would be the correct grammar. Know that. Yeah? Then it'd be your family. So there'd be a category of you and God. Then it'd be you, God, and your family. So that's your family. And then there'd be you, God, your family, and your friends. And that'd be it. Now there's you and God. And then there's you, God, and Google. Right? And then there's you, God, Google, then your family. Because your family doesn't know that you Googled, why do I have a lump on my testicles? But Google knows that. And Google doesn't, your family doesn't know that you were struggling a few months ago and you said into Google, early signs of depression. Google knows you're depressed, but your parents don't know. They know more about you than anybody else on the planet does. There's God, and then there's Google, and then there's the people that you tell things. Right? That's the hierarchy of your information, right? And Facebook sells you. Google sells you. You're not a Google user. You're a Google product. A Google user is somebody who goes to Google and buys adverts from them. They are a Google user. They are a Google client. You are a Google product. You are sold, right? That's what that line means. Right? I'm sorry, I don't mean to go into that. You can tell I'm a web developer. I know what I'm talking about. You either like, so blah, 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 blah. I don't know what I'm more sick of. Rappers or Joe Biden looking like he ate 100 Xanax for dinner, right? Because he's even called Sleepy Joe now. Like, that guy, honestly, I do feel sorry for him in a way. I don't feel sorry for him politically because obviously he's been a bit of a dick his entire life politically, and he flip-flops all over the place. He's got no integrity. But he's an old man. He should be sat somewhere eating banana pudding, looking out of a window, having his little dementia delusions. He should be doing that. Like, he shouldn't be sat running the country, because he's not running the country. He's got fucking cheat sheets and that. He's not running the country. He's just a puppet. And I think this is like proof that he's a puppet, because the country should be on fire by now. If he was truly pressing all the buttons, the country would be on fire by now. So it's proof that he's not pressing the buttons, isn't it? If you really think about it. But yeah. And censoring the president and kicking him off Twitter is a bigger threat to freedom than foreign ballistic missiles. That is a true statement, because freedom of speech If you don't have freedom of speech, like authoritarianism is coming, and fascism, and you're not allowed to say anything, you're not allowed to do anything. The state has got full control of everything that you do. If you want to know what authoritarianism looks like, look at modern day China. It's illegal to criticise the government. In Britain, we made a big inflatable Donald Trump. You probably saw it. We're parading it through the streets. In England, that's what we do with our politicians. And then you guys in America, you do similar things. You taunt them. You don't care. You'll make memes. You do that in China, you get thrown in a fucking gulag. And that's not even a joke. You will get thrown in prison for, like, people were mocking Xi Jinping, saying that he looked like Winnie the Pooh, and they got locked up. That's authoritarianism. And like I said in Tom's last video, if you want to know who's in charge, look who you can't criticise. Xi Jinping, you're not allowed to criticise him. All the CCP, no officials are allowed to be, you're not allowed to say anything bad about them, or you'll go to prison. And that's where you guys are heading. You think I'm joking? Look back to this video in 20 years' time if you're still allowed the internet. And where are we at here? You don't trust the government, right? You don't trust the police or the government, which is a lot of these people that he's talking about. They don't trust the police or the government. Like, defund the police, and all that, right? But you want people giving up the right to own a firearm at the same time. You don't trust the police, which are a gang, but you want other people not to have guns to defend themselves against said gang. It's illogical. It doesn't make any sense, does it, really? It's flawed thinking. Why would you be comfortable with the police and the government, the only people on the planet with the right to buy a gun? If you don't trust the police and you don't trust the government, why would you want everybody else to give their guns away so that they're helpless against the people that you don't trust? It just doesn't make any sense. You're parroting illogical points. That's what you're doing. And white privilege is getting amplified to reinforce division, right? It's the planers against each other. And it convinces white people that they're favoured by their skin. And it convinces black people that it gets black people angry because they're told they're treated different. So the conflict is between us, you and I, because you're a black man and I'm a white man. We should be fighting when we shouldn't be, because we're both getting shit on. So we need to look up, preferably with a pair of goggles on, and we'll get shit in our eyes. But we still need to look up at some point. And when we look up, who are we going to see? Do you know what I mean? The people that don't want us to see them. And that's why this is one of the crowbars that they've got in society, and they're trying to fracture us and they're trying to break us all apart, because we've been fine for hundreds of years. We've been fine for hundreds and hundreds of years. It's always been lunatics at the top that cause problems. And then, yeah, we're going back into the hook, so we'll go back to the video. We've gone over the hook, so straight into verse 3.
Step 1, train the people only to consume. Step 2, infiltrate adults with the news. Step 3, indoctrinate the children through the schools and the music and the apps on the phones that they use. Step 4, separate the right from the left. Step 5, separate the white from the black. Step 6, separate the rich from the poor. Use religion and equality to separate them more. Step 7, fabricate a problem, made a lie. Step 8, put it on the news every night. Step 9, when people start to fight and divide, take control. This is called situational design.
And the third verse is lyrics, primarily the list. Here we go. We're back with a final little verse 3. This is the best verse. This is my favourite verse. When I'm lifting weights, this is the one that actually gets us like, you know what I mean? I channel my inner Arnold. So, step 1, train people only to consume. You are the best consumer that has ever existed in your entire lineage. Right? Let me break this down for you. If you went back to 1850, do you think that your grandparent, either mother or father, grandmother or grandfather, do you think that they would have the willingness to part with money that you do, or the budget that you do? Just stop and ask yourself that. How much expendable income did they have? How much frivolous shit that they don't need? How much stuff did they buy with money they don't have for people that they don't like to impress them? Right? How many times did they do that? Not as much as you. Not as much as me. I know for a fact I'm the most prolific out of my family. Guaranteed. I have to be, looking back. Like, I know for a fact that I have seen more breasts than my grandfather because of internet pornography. I know that for a fact, right? If I go back to the 1700s, my great 6 removed grandfather probably saw about 4 vaginas, and one of those will have been his daughters, right? I've seen hundreds of vaginas because I grew up with the internet. Think about it. You've seen hundreds of vaginas too, even if you're a woman. Think about it. It's terrible. It's terrible. We are the ultimate consumers. That's what we are as a species now in the West. Infiltrate adults with the news is step 2, which is what they do. I'll try and find that clip I've dropped the clip earlier in the video where it says this is a threat to our democracy. I'll try and put the full clip in for you now.
And Fox San Antonio's Jessica Headley.
And I'm Ryan Wolf.
Our greatest responsibility is to serve our
Treasure Valley communities,
the El Paso, Las Cruces communities,
Eastern Iowa communities,
Mid-Michigan communities.
We are extremely proud of the quality, balanced journalism that CBS 4 News produces.
But
we are concerned about troubling and irresponsible, one-sided news stories plaguing our country.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
Crazy that, isn't it? Or they're all reading from the same script. Do you know what I mean? How that was literally all the same script and they were all reading it all the same. So that's the news. They've infiltrated you. No matter what station you go to, you're going to get the same shit. You're going to get the same propaganda. That's what's happening. And then step 3, indoctrinate the children through the schools and the music and the apps on the phones that they use. Schools, all of these crazy LGBT teachers in the schools. That's step 1. Step 3. They're in the schools now, teaching the kids to be non-binary and to be anti-racist and tell the white kids that they're fucking demons and the black kids that they're going to get bullied all their life. All of this shit, they're indoctrinating the kids in the schools. And then the music, like all the stuff that's telling you to go out and buy Xanax, or tell you to go and get drunk at the club, or tell you to go and fuck bitches, tell you to go and tell you to go and drink lean, like sipping lean out my cup and all that shit. Think of how bad that is for people. Do you know what I mean? It's not exactly telling them good life messages. And that's what's happening. And then the apps, need I say anything about TikTok? In China, TikTok is made for educational videos. You'll get banned if you do anything wrong. Whereas in the West, it's teaching kids that they're allowed to chop themselves up because it'll make them feel good. Children want to be accepted. Children want to stand out and they want to be accepted. What better way than to become part of the fastest growing community that seems to be getting the most light shed on it? Think about it. Psychology 101. Step 4, separate the right from the left. That's why I like being central. I will always try and be central. Even if I end up leaning right or I lean left, I will never ignore the other side. You have to listen to what the other side is saying. 9 times out of 10, the other side will give you the ammunition that you use to destroy them. That's why you need to be careful what you say and selective what you say. But I listen to everybody. Everybody's opinion is just as valid as the next person's. So you need to listen to them. And as soon as we separate each other, as soon as we're not talking anymore, well, what's going to happen? The conflict's going to escalate because we can no longer negotiate. So we need to keep talking with each other. If you're following me and you're a leftist, congratulations. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad we're having the conversation. Leave a comment. Even if you hate me, at least you're here. At least we're listening to each other. Regardless if you like what you're hearing or not, you've taken that one step towards tolerance, which is the actual definition of it, is to tolerate the other person. Freedom of speech is me letting people say what they want, even if I hate what they're saying. That's freedom of speech, because you're free to say that my beard isn't magnificent. You're free to say that. Doesn't mean I'm going to enjoy you saying it. Do you know what I mean? And then step 6 is pretty much step 5, and step 5 is pretty much step 4. So step 4 is separate the right from the left. And then step 5 is separate the white from the black. It's all this race politics that's getting thrown about over there. The Americans, you guys, honestly, you need to come to England for like a month and just realise that racism is such an American problem. Honestly, if you came over here, I'd put you up. I've got a spare room. I'll charge you though, well more than Airbnb. But I'll put you up and you live here for a month. You'll realise that racism, you'll be like, fuck me, where is it? I'll tell you what, I'll give you a couple of weeks to go and look for it. Go and find it. You'll struggle to find it over here. You really will struggle to find it over here. It's such an American issue. Because it works on you guys. I don't know why it works on you guys, but it does. It doesn't really work on us. We just see it as petty. Like, why would you judge somebody based on something that's immutable? You can't change yourself. It's like, you wouldn't mock a man for being in a wheelchair. You know that's wrong. You know instinctively it's wrong because he cannot control that. Right? You wouldn't mock a woman with cerebral palsy because you know she's not in control of that. You wouldn't mock somebody with Downs. You wouldn't mock somebody who's retarded because they've got a low IQ and they're mentally impaired. You wouldn't do it because intrinsically you know you are being a bastard by doing it. You know you are being a foul specimen of a human being, a foul excuse of a human being there if you do that. So that's the same category to me as being racist. Like, they can't change it. What are they going to do about it? Look at what Michael Jackson tried to do. That's how fucked up stuff can get. What difference is it going to make? Like, it's like mocking someone for being blonde or brunette, or having blue or green eyes. What logic follows? Explain it to me. The closest logic I can get, I was explaining this to my friend the other day, the closest I can get, logically, for making racism make any sense, like the only time that it actually makes sense to be a tiny bit racist, would be in a medical setting. So, for example, if you had a room full of 10 people, and I said to you, out of all these people, who's the most likely to catch skin cancer? You'd pick the pale one. That's it. I can't. My logic of racism goes no further beyond that. Like, white people are probably more likely to catch diseases based on where they live and where they've evolved over the past like 3,000 years. So we're more likely. Like, for example, white people were going to be killed by viruses that lived in Africa. So the slave traders wouldn't go on land. The slave traders would pull up, they'd make an order like a fucking drive-through, get themselves some slaves, and then they'd ship them over. Because they knew that they would die. The average life expectancy of a white man in subcontinental Africa, sub-Saharan Africa on the continent, was like 12 months. Because you'd get malaria and die straight away. But loads of little babies out there that were growing up there, regardless of skin colour, they were getting bit when they were young. And they'd live there. And they'd be fine. Same way that the native populations of North and South America got absolutely ravaged by smallpox because they didn't have an immunity to it. So the only time that racism makes any sense is in the medical sense, and even then it's such a minute little detail that you can't justify the scale that racism exists in America. I'm sorry for that long-winded spiel, but it's true. It really is true. And this is what I'm saying, white from the black and then rich from the poor. They separate the rich from the poor. Tax the rich, tax the rich. You can't tax the rich. It's not how money works. You don't understand the economy. You don't understand the economy. Rich people don't even really pay taxes because they'll spread the money out all over the place. Have you heard of a loophole? Yeah, there's hundreds of them. Hundreds of them. Use religion and equality to separate them more. This is the thing. I've got nothing but respect for anyone's religious beliefs. Like, if you want to believe it, you can believe it. The line stops when you try and tell me it's true. That's where the line is. The moment you try and tell me that it's objectively true, we're in the grey area here now. Because now I'm going to have to step on your toes and upset you to tell you, well, no, actually it's not. Because you've got no reason to believe it and there's no proof for it. But if you want to go and pray, if I had a Muslim friend and he was saying, oh, I need to go and pray, I'd be like, yeah, mate, you go and pray. I'll keep everything on hold for you. Like, we used to have a teacher at college who was Muslim. And he'd go out and pray in the middle of one of our lessons and we'd all just say, yeah, go on, and we'd let him go. Like, we're totally tolerant of people's religions and stuff like that. But they're trying to separate you guys over there, but the Muslims are starting to stand up. Our Muslim brothers and sisters are starting to stand up to all this trans stuff. I knew they'd take the lead. I've been waiting for it. And the beauty of the Muslims doing it is because when white parents and stuff, white Christian parents started trying to do it, they were calling them racists and domestic terrorists. But now there's brown Muslims doing it. So they're not calling them racists or domestic terrorists because they know that that label won't work on them. So now people that are immune to the label are fighting for us. Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. Thank you very much. I appreciate the battle that you're willing to take for us. For humans, for humanity. That's what we are. We're all one team. We're all one team, and there's this little small group of people that think they're better than us. And they're trying to run everything. That's what it is. It's been like this for centuries. It's been like this for centuries. But yeah, so use religion and equality to separate us more, which they are definitely doing. And then step 7, fabricate a problem made of lies. And step 8 is to put it on the news every night. To try and keep us in perpetual fear mode so that Big Daddy Government will come and save us. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're a scared little child and your Big Daddy Government's going to go outside with a shotgun and he's going to get rid of that bear. Even though the bear was never there and the Big Daddy Government just created a couple of bear paws at the window to trick you into thinking there was a bear. So now you're thankful to Big Daddy Government for dealing with the bear, but there never was a bear. Think about it. Just let it sink in. Step 9. When people start to fight and divide, take control. This is called situational design. If you design the situation because you know you cannot win the battle. Great generals have done this. Great generals have deliberately made armies fight each other. Great generals have deliberately held out of battles and let two opposing armies fight each other because they were never cohesed properly from the start. So just let them fight each other. They're just a rabble. Wait for them to fight each other. We'll send the cavalry in and clean them up 3 days later. This is what's happening. This is what's happening. But yeah. Thank you for joining me down that rabbit hole. I didn't mean to do it line by line, but this guy needs to be heard. This guy needs to be heard because he's spitting straight facts, man. And we are slowly getting steered in a direction that I don't like or want for humanity. And it's about time that I start speaking up in it. Do you know what I mean? Peace.